into the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when we sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day. Rudo, AJ, and Blais coming at you live as, there's no other way to put it. The Avs just got bopped in this hockey game. It was not close. The Avs did not play well in any facet of the hockey game, and Boston kind of just dunked on them. It's not a complicated process here. And I don't. Do we all feel like the Avs were due for a game like this?
Yeah. Yeah. We've talked about, hey, they have not played, they played plenty of close games against bad teams where you could tell that they were kind of managing it a little bit.
Yep.
And then they were due to have a poorish effort against a good team. They did that. The loss to Dallas they got goalied.
Yeah, they smoked that team in process.
You can't complain about the process in the loss against Dallas last week, but you can be mad about everything today. There was bad officiating that I think played a role in how the game played out. There was the Avs just played like shit. Boston capitalized on some funny opportunities that literally
bounced in off of everything.
There was a lot of puck luck for the Bruins today. But more than anything, the Avs just got punched in the mouth. They just got beat by a good team. And that was due to happen. We had seen them ride the roller coaster of against good teams, they get up, they beat them, and then they go back to playing down to a poor opponent.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but has there been another game this year that the Avs gave up 45 shots?
Probably.
I'm imagining the Toronto game, maybe, but
yeah, there are going to be some that are close.
Sure, you get
I'm actually
stuff at the end of games.
I'm looking at their game log right now. I will literally just look.
There you go. You can tell us in a second here, but look, this game in a vacuum,
no, 43 was the next highest against the Blackhawks.
So arguably their worst process game, at least when it comes to possession of the season. And for this game itself, by itself, there's nothing you can say that you're happy with from Colorado. You're like, yep, that play was terrible. It's not good enough. I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind. But also,
process-wise, this game is in the same category as the Kings game, where the Avs got thoroughly outplayed and Darcy Kemper stole a win.
Yep.
The Caps game at the beginning of the year, remember that game?
Where they just got dunked on?
Yeah, they just got rocked. The Maple Leafs game, the 8-3 game.
Yep.
The Panthers game in Florida. And the Predators game
where they
in Nashville with the 15-ish players, half of whom were Eagles.
Yeah.
So that gives you an idea of just how bad this was.
Well, I think you bring up a good point there too, though, AJ, is this happens to every team a handful of times a year where you show up to a game and your team just doesn't have it. And it was very clear, I think, pretty much everyone not named Nathan Mackinnon didn't really have it tonight on the Avs. No one came particularly close, but I am curious, Blais, outside of Mackinnon, are you taking any positives out of this game?
Not really. And a lot of it started in the defensive zone, right? They did not look good at all down there. And when your top defensive line is struggling like they did today, that's hard to do anything with because, they're the ones that are generating the start of plays. And when you're getting trapped down in the defensive zone, and I'm not just putting this on the D, I'm putting on the whole team. When you're not getting pucks out that should be getting out of the zone, it's hard to win a game because the other team is just going to get some weird chances. People are going to be out of position because you're expecting that puck to come out of the zone. And that's what you saw today.
The Avs, or rather Boston's first goal of the game sums it up. Sam Girard, clean possession of the puck, doesn't get it out. Logan O'Connor, clean possession of the puck, doesn't get it out. Cale Makar, has a pass right to his stick that somehow skips over it and off into the corner, leads to an awkward situation where he doesn't get it out, and then the puck's in the back of your net. It's not complicated to see what the issue is there, but you have to know that the Avs need to be better, but you also know that the Avs on most nights are better than that. Even if, yes, puck management has been an issue for them, they were firing pizzas all night, or day, rather, in this one. So it's not a complicated problem, and it's not a problem that's too hard to fix, in my opinion. But where do you want to start here, AJ? Do you want to start with the Logan O'Connor conversation? Because it's been 2 or 3 weeks now where it feels like, yes, the offense fell off. Okay, fine. That's going to happen to bottom 6 players. But you're starting to see some issues crop up in his game, I think particularly in the defensive zone, that you need better.
Yeah, you need better.
No more complicated.
I think you just wrote my post-game story for me. You need better.
It's an easy story right there.
Yeah, I mean, really, like, for me, I thought this one started with effort.
Yeah.
Because you could see, like, I wasn't really all that surprised that the Avs were getting kind of worked the first, like, few minutes of the game.
Sure.
But they had started to really find their legs when that first penalty got called. They had strung together a couple of good shifts. You could start to really see that they were playing at least closer to the kind of level that they were expecting.
Sure.
And then the phantom penalty on Landeskog, which he did not high stick Pasternak, and that stunted all their momentum that they had built off of 2 good shifts, and then they never got it back.
Yeah.
Like they kind of got close. They scored and they made it 2-1. And then the top line came right back out, and Landeskog had a quality scoring chance on the next shift. Like, if he scores right there and it's 2-2, maybe this game goes differently.
Instead, the wheels came off. But
right, but then any time that the top line was not on the ice,
everything was bad.
Everything just went to pieces.
Yeah,
and that included your top pairing.
Yep, Makar particularly struggled. Yeah,
we're not good today, and it was really like 4 Avs really showed up today.
Yep,
it was Colorado's top line and Darcy Kemper.
Yep,
and even with Colorado's top line, they just got outplayed. Like they got I guess out executed. Because two David Pasternak goals and a Patrice Bergeron goal. Like, their stars won them the game. Colorado Stars didn't.
Yep. And it's pretty clear to me that when you're talking about effort level, I think we're particularly talking about the small details of this hockey game for the Avs. They just weren't doing the little things correct. They're not winning the puck battles or the races or making that one small play to get yourself out of sometimes bad situations. And Boston obviously was. It's when you have a game as straightforward as this one, the problems are usually pretty obvious. So it's not a complicated process, but it's also one where, yes, I'm sure the Avs will take this film, go look at the defensive zone in particular, and be like, here's 40 things that you just can't do. But at the same time, almost no stock being put into this on the bigger picture. Yes, you're not taking anything out of this game long term.
No, the Avs have lost so few games the last few months that every loss feels, again, we're at the point where it's like you win, they win 5 games in a row, and it's still like it doesn't matter until the postseason. But then they lose a game, and it's like, see, they can't beat good teams, or see, they can't beat physical teams. I mean, we saw it. They lost to the Stars last week after shutting them out in Dallas. And Rudo, what was the response that we got
after the Stars loss?
Yeah, they can't beat Dallas.
They can't beat teams that are hard, heavy, physical. Yeah,
right. Sure. They can't beat forechecking teams. I saw somebody tweet at you today.
Yep.
Today that this was a harbinger of things to come, and that the Avs weren't going to be able to get out of the second round again.
Fam, they beat Tampa
Every loss is like this
and
now.
Vegas in the last 10 days.
Yeah.
It's being spoiled. It's being spoiled right now. That's the problem.
Right. Like it's to the point where like, oh, they've lost games to good teams. Therefore, they're not good. And it's like, okay, but then why are they on top of the NHL? Why are they, what are they, like 11 points ahead of second place in the West?
Yeah, they literally beat Boston less than a month ago. It's not like they can't even beat Boston. Like, the only team that you could say they can't beat this year is Columbus, I guess.
Yeah, Columbus is the only team that so far swept them.
So, I don't know. Is Columbus elite secretly, I guess?
I mean, they are. They just beat Buffalo, what, 5-2 yesterday? So
I've only beat them 5-3. Call it a day. I really don't understand. Even if you are a believer that you can't transfer what the Avs are doing in this regular season to the playoffs, I don't know how you can make a judgment and say that this is a second round exit team in the middle of February. Honestly.
Who do they lose to? And how does it go? I always say, like, how it happens is also very important. How it unfolds.
Yep.
Like because you say, I mean, I say that, but also
if the Avs get full power Vegas in round 2 and it goes 7 games,
whatever. You look at the. I say it matters, but does it really? Because you look at the way that they get to the second round in a year that they were an 8th seed. At the time, was considered a big victory, and everybody was happy about it. And it's now weaponized against them. It's held against them.
Yeah.
They get to the second round and they lose to a Dallas team while they're playing Michael freaking Hutchinson for the last half of a series. And it gets weaponized against them. It's really like they lost to Vegas, who they tied for with the President's Trophy.
Yep.
Like, are we feeling the same way? If Florida loses in the second round to Tampa Bay or to Toronto, is Andrew Burnett in trouble?
When that happens,
are you blowing up the Panthers?
They might owe Blais a steak if they do that. But.
So, like I'm saying, like I'm asking, like this like conversation that exists around the team, and it's the second round, like it's some big evil. Like, aren't they one of? I think they're one of only 2 teams that have even made the second round all 3 years.
Yep.
Tampa Bay's not even on that list because they got swept one of those years.
It was them in the Isles, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Of all teams. And it's like, how many do you think a Sabres fan wouldn't straight cut a motherfucker to get to the second round right now?
Well, here's the conversation I would ask to anyone who's saying the Avs are a second round exit and they need to make X, Y, and Z change. Who's out there right now that makes the Avs a better hockey team? Certainly in the staff department, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone. On the player list, well, that's a conversation we'll have over the next 3 weeks with the trade deadline. But even that list, even the list of players the Avs should be interested in at the trade deadline is not that long. There's not a lot of players that you're looking at and going, this player makes the Avs significantly better. So I think it's difficult to look at personnel and say that random person can make this team that much better outside of obviously a Claude Giroux, obviously a Joe Pavelski. Again, we'll get into this over the next couple of weeks, but
yeah, like top 100 players in the NHL make
right.
the team better.
Like shocking. Players make every team.
Let me go out on a limb here.
Yeah.
Well, even this one, like if you weren't going to root for Colorado, then who's the other team that you're rooting for to win the Stanley Cup? the Avs don't have it, right? Like, who's that other team in the league right now that you know for sure that are going to make the Cup final?
I mean, certainly out of the West, I don't know how you can say any other team than maybe Vegas. Every other team in the West, I don't know how you make that argument for. And I get it. Playoffs are a completely different animal. You deal with that when you get there. But
fam, you got to watch Scott Mayfield play sometime.
He's bad.
Yeah, especially if you think he's going to fit in Colorado. You got to watch him.
Look, you don't need to be able to skate to play here.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's true. I watched Curtis McDermott fall down twice today.
Oh my god! Well, not just I mean, everyone was falling down, but he was very bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that experiment is over.
It's not though, and that's where you're.
That's
concerned.
the problem.
Yeah.
It really should be on defense, but
yeah, I mean, I don't want to start scapegoating Curtis McDermott in a day where
clearly not.
Well,
his
no,
fault.
I mean it wasn't
He
just
fell
him.
apart.
Obviously not that we're doing that. I'm just saying, like, it's really easy to be like, oh, let's start fucking bombs away on the guys at the bottom of the lineup.
On a night where Cale Makar couldn't handle the puck, you don't need to be going in on Curtis McDermott.
Yeah, and like you talk like you go and you end up looking at like possession stuff, and you're like, before the game, we talked about Abe Kubel and how he'd stop taking penalties.
Yep.
And then he gets called for some bullshit at center ice. Like,
the first one was not a penalty. Yeah.
That's a man falling over.
Dude, it's a cross check in that his stick was on his back.
His other option was body slamming the guy.
Yeah, and then the other penalty was totally a penalty, and it was like, okay.
Game was over at that point.
Yeah, and it was not a big deal, but you're like, you do need a little bit more from that. But also, this was a game where, look, the Avs have gotten away with elevating Jack Johnson in role, and
that dude got smoked.
Right,
tonight.
Jack Johnson got cratered.
Yep,
cratered today, and that's where you talk about the high end and the low end of your lineup there.
Yep.
Look, I really liked Colorado's top line. They just didn't get it done.
Fair enough.
Like they didn't score a single goal at even strength, and Boston's top guys got 3.
Yep.
And that's like their best player scored and your best players didn't score. And that's really like, that's it. Like that's the thing. Okay. Like that's that you could easily write the story of this game. Best players versus best players and stop there. There was more to it. I liked Colorado's top line, but like they just got beat today. And that's when you're talking about a line with 2 guys like Pasternak and Bergeron, it's okay.
My favorite phrase as of late is games like this are why they play a 7-game series in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just get bopped. Yeah. Game 1 of round 2 last year, where the Avs just straight bopped Vegas, had no long-term lasting effects on the entire series. It was a one-off game. So any one-off game, anything can happen. I do want to chop up the first line a little bit more, but if you need to take a load off after that game, I don't blame you. So maybe head on over to Light Shade, and instead of being low about the hockey game, get high. They got every CBD and THC thing you could possibly imagine over there. What? You can get 25% off with code DNVR. You can check out online for pickup at one of their 10 locations in Denver in a little over a week. March 1st is still over a week away. They'll have 11 locations, so check out that. They have a bunch of different stuff. If you're looking for CBD topicals, Escape Artist can be the stuff for you. They have stuff ranging from 1-to-1 ratio all the way up to 20-to-1 if you need the hard-hitting stuff. Super easy to use, super awesome as well. If you haven't checked that stuff out, it's great for aches and pains that you might have. Of course, available at Lightshade with the great deal. Go check them out today and use that DNVR code to check out to get your 25% off. And then take care of your teeth with Green Mountain Dental Group. You can get a cleaning, x-ray, and exam with them and get a free Sonicare toothbrush just for getting your teeth checked out, making sure you're good to go and healthy. And then it takes a lot less work to get on taken care of at home with the electronic toothbrush. Pretty much does the work for you. So get on over there. Check out Green Mountain Dental Group. Little birdie told me the Nuggets are going to be doing another party bus sometimes soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I know it was a big hit last time. They're going to run another one. Everyone has a ton of fun on those types of things. Somewhere down the line, the Avs are probably going to do one too, but we're not quite there yet. We're still working out the exact details. Keep your eyes posted. That's all I'm saying. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Let's get to the Avs king of the game here because it is going to be Nathan Mackinnon. Obviously, he scores the Avs' only goal.
So this is the thing about the king of the game is that we're not allowed to give it to players on the opposing team.
Absolutely would be giving it to like Pasternak or Sway.
Otherwise, we could have given a couple of them away to other players, especially lately.
Yeah.
But we had to pick somebody, and it's hard to go with Darcy Kemper again when he gives up 5 goals, even though I think he played better. He played far better than those numbers will.
I would agree, but I think McKinnon is an especially interesting topic. He has 7 shots on goal. The rest of the Avs forwards in this game ended up with 10. He nearly by himself outshot the rest of the Avs forwards. When you take away the top line, when you take away Landy, it's Landy and Mikko. McKinnon had 7 shots. The Avs non-first line forwards had 6.
Yeah, they also got beat up. They gave up as a line. They gave up more high danger chances than anybody. Their expected goals is not good. Yep. And this is kind of why I was tweeting about it the way that I was, where it was like, look, their best players are getting beat. And it was like, yeah, they had some jump. Yeah, they were the only line that was doing literally anything offensively, but they gave it all back defensively.
Yeah.
It was the Leon Draisaitl conundrum. How valuable is what you create when you give it all away defensively?
You're picking a king of the empire of shit in this one. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But you're looking around the lineup and you're going, all right, the second line got completely their heads kicked in.
Well, and the second line was so bad that they all ended up on different lines.
Yeah, they stopped using it straight up. So it's hard to look at any of the lines on the forward side, certainly, and say the Avs had a successful day. Obviously, the score reflects that.
Honestly, this is as poorly as I can remember Kadri playing in a while. Like, even when he went red mist a couple weeks ago, he played really well.
Yep.
He was just a total no-show today. He didn't do anything. I know a lot of people are like, Berkey, and I didn't think that Burakovsky was very good today. But Nichushkin, also not very good today. Very, very quiet. When you want to talk about a guy that should be thriving in a physical, high-effort game, a guy that should always be standing out for you, it's that guy. That's where he makes his money.
Yeah, you have a number of those guys that I think you're asking for, especially in a game like this, to give you more. We already mentioned Logan O'Connor, Val Nichushkin.
Yeah. Alex Newhook was on the ice at 5v5 today. 11 shots against, 1 shot for. Actual on goal.
That's
the Corsi numbers.
Bad.
The Corsi numbers were nowhere near as bad.
But still,
what actually got through on net, 11 shots against and 1 for. Like, that's not nearly good enough, man. He needs to play better than that.
Yep.
And it just up and down the lineup. That was kind of the thing, is that they all just sort of no-showed today. And the one line that didn't came with a huge caveat.
Caved in defensively.
Yeah, that they played like shit on defense.
Yeah, and
you can get away with playing like shit defensively if you're a top line. If you're pouring it in on offense, they didn't score at all.
Yep, they scored 1 power play goal, and that was
it was a sick goal too. I mean, it was well earned.
Yeah,
bumper play.
They reversed it though. On the other side, they put Mac in the middle.
Yeah, and he just blew that puck by him as well.
Yeah, that was a rocket. For sure.
Just a great shot.
Yeah, but on the other side too, like when you give, how many chances do they have just right in the slot? I mean, 3 of their goals came from basically slot or lower. And then again, like what we talked about too, was just lucky bounces, right? One from
like
basically behind the goal line.
Swats a puck and it goes off of Kemper and you're like, okay. That's the 5th goal, so you really don't care at all.
Yeah.
But like the first goal, Charlie McAvoy makes a bad pass that goes off of a skate and lands on Pasternak, who's coming off the bench.
Yep.
And it lands on his stick perfectly while he's moving forward.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to adjust. He doesn't have to adjust. He doesn't have to it's flat on his, and you're just like, Jesus. You can't even give him credit for a great pass because it bounced off of a guy.
Yeah.
I do agree Boston had a lot of luck, but as Blais was saying, particularly Jack Johnson, I don't want to dunk on anyone too much tonight, but the Avs just decided not to defend the net front area.
Oh, dude, total abdication of responsibility. It was everybody, really. It was like Sam Girard. This is a really bad Sam Girard game.
I don't know that you can say any defenseman on this team had a good game. Genuinely tonight. I'm struggling.
I don't think Devon Taves was bad.
I don't think he was bad, but for Devon Taves, he was bad.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Given the standard that he's shown, he didn't live up to it. How about that? For any other defenseman, a night like tonight, you're living with.
Yeah.
But, and certainly beyond Taves, Makar, terrible. Girard, terrible. McDermott, we don't even need to talk about. Jack Johnson, we already know is terrible. EJ actually got away with a decent amount of stuff tonight, but I don't think he played particularly well.
I actually didn't have a problem with EJ, but that's for me, EJ was totally neutral in this one. There wasn't much good. There wasn't much bad. He was fine. I didn't have a problem with EJ. In a video session, I don't know that any Erik Johnson shifts are popping up.
Yeah. Probably not. But either way, you can't call it 4 of your 6 defensemen have a night as low as they did and expect to win a hockey game, let alone the forward core. But
I don't think that Bednar's post game is going to be all that explosive, you guys. I think that the standard is so high for the Avs, and it was so far from being met that you don't even get that mad about it. You just walk in and you're just like, you guys are probably all feeling as embarrassed as you should, so let's just pack up our shit and get out of here.
It's also like Bednar. He's never one to get super fired up about these types of things. He'll walk in and pretty much tell you, yeah, team didn't play good enough tonight. Moving on. The Avs have handled their business internally most of the time under Bednar.
Yeah, I don't think that his post-game talk to the team would have been all that fiery.
Yep.
I'm sure there was some yelling, but I don't think it would have been like.
You're not going to dress down a team that has been on the run.
Who are you going to point out, right? It's just like, that was a team loss.
Yeah. And again, if you're doing anything with this game, that's going to come later in the film sessions where you're like, all right, this is a really dumb thing. Don't do this. But
and it's like, look, again, he's going to walk in and he's going to say, look, this was not Avalanche hockey. We expect better. You have better. We'll get better on Tuesday. Wednesday. It is Monday. It just feels like Sunday.
You're just used to working every Sunday at this point.
I did get a pretty chill day yesterday. I was worried that it wasn't going to be that way, but it ended up being pretty chill.
Nice. Always nice. Hope the Avs got a chill Sunday because it wasn't pretty today.
It looked like their chill Sunday carried over.
Maybe a little too chill, perhaps.
The Avs know that was the game and not morning skate, right?
Yep. All right. Going through a couple of these other goals really quick, just quick breakdowns. Second goal of the game, Patrice Bergeron, about halfway through the second period.
Another one where you're just like, look at that bounce.
Yep.
Taylor Hall slips a puck through the sliding Sam Girard, and if you watch that replay in slow-mo,
it skips off him,
and it's just like the tightest little window where you're like, dude, that's tough. And then Bergeron totally flubs it.
Yep.
And the rebound just right back to his stick.
Yep. So that happens. Is what it is. Jack Johnson gets caught out high, taking a nap on the boards on that one, but Avs don't cover the middle of the ice particularly well.
Yeah, no.
Avs get their power play goal to get back in, and we kind of already talked about. then Boston quickly adds 2 more to make it 4-1 and pretty much end the game in the second period. One from Pasternak, which it comes off a set play off of a face-off, which really was the result of Curtis McDermott icing a puck earlier that put the Avs in a bit of a tough spot.
Watching his puck play today,
it was rough. It's rough. Certainly,
like he's, to his credit, he got a lot better from the nightmare he was at the start of the season. And there was a pretty healthy stretch there where you were like, yeah, this is fine. Like he's not really actively doing anything. It's not really a big deal, right? Like he was fine. And then you watch some of the stuff that does with the puck today, and you're just like, God, the low is really low.
Well, again, go ahead, Blais.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm kind of skipping around here because I was just talking about the goal here, but like Kadri goes basically to Kemper instead of coming over and grabbing Pasternak on that play right there. And that really led to Kemper not being able to see the rebound. One, like that, if he would have actually came to Pasternak, he would have taken him out of the play, with a stick check, but it was a funky play all the way around.
Yeah.
Sam Girard laying out.
Avs did not cover it well by any stretch of the imagination,
no.
For sure.
Yeah.
You saw a lot of, I think Berkey stepped up on the near side too, just abandoning that front, which, he's expecting Jack Johnson to get back. But, and it kind of just didn't get better on McDermott. I think everyone has realized at this point that you just can't ask that guy to break pucks out.
Yeah.
It's just not.
You're putting him in Lenham. You're living with whatever you get in that side of the game.
Yep. So you kind of just have to live with it. I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. You're understanding.
And then the game fully falls apart. Jake Debrusk puts in a partial break that just
and again, who's on the ice for that? It's Colorado's top line, Cale, Makar.
Yep.
4 of the 5 guys on the ice for that. Trying to blame that solely on Jack Johnson is you're working hard to forgive those guys.
Makar got pretty roasted.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he was any good today.
He hasn't been good for the last couple games, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Like he's getting points somehow still because that's what good players do. But certainly his puck work has been not the best, to say the least, especially with someone like Makar's abilities.
And to be honest with you, on the power play, has he just decided that he doesn't need to shoot again?
He's gone like full Sam Girard almost.
Like he's not doing anything with the puck.
Yep. It's weird.
We say this, and he's rolling along. He's
doing
every single
just
night,
fine.
It's just like whatever. But like you watch it specifically on the power play, and you look at he gets a power play assist, and it's passing it off to the side. It's the bumper play that scores that, not anything that Cale Makar does.
Well, and you've watched him over the last couple of games where he gets in that situation where the Avs work it back out to him, and he has room, and he walks in and dishes it. Whereas for the first 30, 40 games of the year, he's walking in and shooting that. So it is what it is. I'm not going to overthink it, especially in a game like this one. But
I think at some point here, if it hasn't already happened, somebody's going to pull him aside and just be like, "Hey, Cale,
you're a good hockey player.
Yeah.
You should trust it."
Yeah, you can, maybe bring back some of the aggression and shooting, because I think he'd been scoring so many goals that maybe it got a little
out of control for a second there.
Yeah, where he was like, he would get it and he was not making much of a move, and he was just like, "I'm shooting it." And it was ending up in a lot of blocked shots that did not go anywhere.
Too far the other way.
Yeah, and now he's like, okay, well, I need to go back to making smarter decisions on when to shoot it, and that has resulted in
never shooting
not shooting
it.
So I just like the tiniest course correction there, and I think they'll be good.
Not worried about it, but still, you need.
I didn't see anything about Mackinnon hitting a linesman, but I mean, wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I didn't see anything either, but if someone has a clip, you can tweet it at me and we'll take a look at it off the show. Anyway, it is only 2:20 in the Mountain Time Zone. So if you need something to help wake you up, Strava Craft Coffee. It's your CBD infused coffee that can
me, fam,
get you going. Certainly give you a little bit more jump today than the Avs had at the very least. So go check it out. You can get 25% off your first order with code DNVR at checkout online. You can also get it cold brewed down at the DNVR bar. So if you want to try it there, go give it a shot. They're great stuff. They've been with us forever. They help with a bunch of different aches and pains with the CBD, and they actually are coffee. So, you can get in K-Cups or normal beans, however you like your coffee. Go check them out today at StravaCraftCoffee.com. And, of course, you got your Breck Brew. Go get yourself an Avalanche. Go have a drink. Pour one out for whatever that hockey game was. Pour one out for all the sad boys that think the season has ended because the Avs have lost 2 hockey games in the regulation.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's just have all of the games in 11 now. I'm here for it.
Me personally love this.
It would be great
I
in my
love
schedule,
this.
no doubt about that.
Honestly,
day.
I mean, just like the game on Wednesday is what, it's like 5:30 pregame for us.
Yeah, it's an East Coast.
That's
game,
great too. I'm good with that. I'm all about that.
Anytime post games are over before 11 p.m., it's a win for us. So, is what it is. Go get your Breck Brews, your Strava Craft coffees, whatever you want. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We got a couple super chats to get to, so we can hit those really quick. $2 from Degro. Type of game you just take on the chin and move on. Agreed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just got bopped.
Yep.
No excuses, no nonsense. Just got bopped.
Blake with 5. Not every day the Avs get outscored 4-0 at 5-on-5. Yep. Wasn't good. Wasn't good. I don't think there's any doubt on that one. MJ Seahawk, $2.
Yeah.
Be better, AJ. Current date and time.
True.
It's a great quote. It's a great quote.
Yeah.
You can just get rid of the date and time on that one, right? That's an evergreen.
Yeah.
My kid once did a pregame prep talk, and it was "Don't suck." That's all he said.
Accurate.
I was like, yeah.
5 more from Degro. Sometimes you
Really
need a game like this to
boiled it
teach you
down.
a lesson.
Yeah.
I do think this is probably not the worst thing in the world to happen to the Avs.
So you know how they're like in the NFL when teams are chasing the undefeated season and they go like 12 or 13-0, and then they lose, and then the local writers spend the whole week being like, actually, it's a good thing because this will help them refocus, and it's and they can stop putting the pressure on themselves to keep the win streak going, and they can get back to day and the things that made them success. And you're like, shut up.
I don't buy that.
It's not a good thing, but as is the case with all bad things in life, it's how you respond to the bad thing that defines how bad it actually was. If they turn around and they smoke Detroit, this is just a weird one-off and you're moving on. If they go out and they really struggle again, and you look at they clawed their way through Buffalo, they got blown out in Boston, and then they have a not very good game against Detroit, you're starting to be like, okay, well, you've strung together 3 iffy performances. That's of concern.
Yeah.
But it's how do you respond to it that will define exactly how you feel about if this was actually a good thing or not.
I don't think it's a good thing, right? But from the coaching staff and BEDNAR'S standpoint, this is something that they can recall as they start going into the playoff part of the season, right? Just coming back to the basics of preparing yourself, getting ready for games, making sure that they're ready. Even though that we're talking about this as a one-off, it's something that the coaches can then reflect back to the players and say, you've got to be prepared for every game that you're playing when you start going into the playoffs, because look what's happened in the season when we haven't done what Avalanche hockey that's made us successful looks like, right?
I think when you talk about any team and every team, they end up testing their limits in certain ways every single year. And we've seen a lot of the Avs testing their limits in just how much can we fuck around before we find out.
Yeah.
And they found out today. So, and look, I think the Avs do deserve a lot of credit over the last stretch that they've gotten up for good opponents and good teams, but it didn't happen in this one. It didn't get to the level that it needed to. And in one game, of course, not a big deal. No one's going to write that off, but AJ, I think you put it great against Detroit, and otherwise you can't make a habit.
Yeah, well, and this is why you see, and they every year they talk about, when a team loses a game or two, they say, look, great teams don't let them stack up. Yep. Great teams stop this before it becomes a problem because they get back to putting the work in. They get back to the commitment to the details that were not there in the game that got them on the loser side to begin with. And this was one where you don't just shrug and say, "Oh, it was just a goalie." You played like shit in this game. Yep. You played a bad hockey game. That's it. This is not the same loss as the Stars last week, where Jake Ottinger was one of the 3 stars of the week for a reason.
Yeah, you certainly have way less issues with the process in that game, right? And especially in a regular season hockey game, especially in a situation where the Avs are running away with the Western Conference.
Yeah.
Looking at the process is probably more important than the results right now for Colorado.
Yeah. And there was a guy in my Twitter mentions today who was like, "Oh, the Avs have had bad process and they've been squeaking out wins." Just really isn't that true. If you actually go through their game log and you go through the things that we consider process, shots, scoring chances, high danger chances, expected goals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, they're still winning that battle more often than not.
Yep.
And they're just the thing that has not been in their arsenal has been the blowout. Their last blowout, real true blowout, was the 7-1 win over the Jets.
Yeah.
They've had 2 4-0 shutouts on the road in Arizona and in Dallas, where you're like, those were comfortable wins.
Not a full blowout.
Yeah. They were comfortable wins, but the blowout hasn't been there, and I think that's probably why there was that guy in my mentions today who was not overly upset about the loss. He just doesn't think that the Avs have played their A game in 2 months. And I think that's probably why he feels that way, is because I guess it could be why they feel that way. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
I was telling
you for 2 months that the Avs scoring 7 goals a night wasn't sustainable.
I tried to follow up and be like, what are you expecting? Because I was like, they literally lost 1 game
if this isn't
overtime in the whole month of January. Yeah. I'm not sure what and yes, they were not dominating Montreal and Chicago and they didn't dominate them, but they were winning games. And if you go back and you look at the processes in most of those games, they outplayed those teams.
Well, especially, I think it's a bit of a different look, because I think some of the A games you're talking about across this stretch are a 3-2 win against Tampa.
Yeah.
A 2-0 shutout of Vegas. It's not a blowout, but you're
4-0 in Dallas.
Yeah,
Dallas is a shitty road team and a great home team, and you walked in there and beat them 4-0.
You're beating good teams, and especially the Tampa game, where both teams are clicking, their cylinders are all firing, and you come out ahead in that. That's an A game to me.
Yeah, well, I don't understand. It's the same. The Avs at 5v5 in that game, the Avs outshot Tampa Bay 38-24.
Yep.
They 28-19 in scoring chances in that game. They housed. They really, if it were not for Vasilevsky having an amazing night, that could have gotten away from Tampa. And it very nearly did, if you recall.
Mm-hmm.
If
that goal counted,
if that goal had, if the goal that the puck that goes into the net, but Vasilevsky's goal or his glove covers it, they're this close to running away in that game.
Yep.
So,
Yep. It's. I guess the Avs now have 2 regulation losses in the month of February. So should we just burn it all down? I guess. I don't know.
Rebuild time.
And like the thing is,
it's a disappointing effort. It sucks to
Yeah,
have gotten up to watch them. Totally no show
shit
like
the bed
that.
on it for sure. But even then, even if the month of February is too big of a segment for you, the Avs are 2-1 on this road trip with Detroit on Wednesday.
Yeah.
If they beat Detroit, they go 3-1 on the road trip, and everyone's like, "Yep, that's a really good road trip."
Well, and you keep in mind it's a weird road trip because you start in Vegas and then you go to Buffalo. You have 2 matinee games,
2:11
Buffalo and
a.m.
Boston.
Well, 1 p.m.
Yeah.
local games,
And then you have Detroit. You're talking about that's what 3 different time zones that you've played hockey games in.
a little all over the place for sure.
And your road trip starts on a Sega Baba.
I think Michigan's actually Eastern, but not that it matters.
Yeah,
you
Eastern. Yeah.
you start on a Sega Baba,
Okay.
and you actually end the road trip with a Sega Baba, although you do go home. But it's
like they finish this road trip and then they have Winnipeg and then a Sega Baba in Vegas again at the end of the week.
Yep.
So like this could be a bad week if things go sideways. If they turn around and they beat Detroit and they at least split that back to back at the end of the week, you go 2-2, you're fine.
Yeah.
You aren't like, oh my God, this is amazing, but you're fine.
Yeah, it's the Avs are fine unless things really go south. It would be really hard to convince me of a situation where the Avs aren't fine at this point, barring a catastrophic losing streak. But I don't know what to tell you on this one. The Avs are still ridiculously good this year with a 4-5-1 start, and then they just decided not to lose for a while. So, yes, the game was bad. Yes, the Avs can and need to be better, but I'm not making any long-term accusations or decisions based on this hockey game. Leave it that way.
There isn't really anything in that game that you should feel that strongly about.
Yep. The only things that flash up across the board that you're like maybe thinking could be a longer term problem are things we've already talked about. Things the Avs are already looking at to potentially bolster themselves with a trade deadline acquisition.
Yep.
So that's all I got. Any final thoughts from either of you? All right.
No, I mean, sometimes you're just bad.
Sometimes you're just bad. I love it. Love the take. You can't be good every day. That is going to wrap it up then. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. We appreciate all of y'all so very much. We'll be back tomorrow with a regular 1 p.m. show. And then Wednesday, we got the full boat for you. Pre-game, watch-along, and post-game for the Red Wings. So.
Still tentatively planning on doing that at the bar.
Yep, depending on how much snow comes in the next couple days.
We'll see how bad the snowstorm actually gets here.
Yeah.
And then kind of decide from there.
But currently, should be at the bar for that game. We'll see. Either way, we will be here to talk to you on the next one. Until then, have a better day than the Avs did.